Great. So these persons, we hope, are persons who you can see yourself through, right? We call them distinguished panelists, but everyone have a story, and they have a story that can be shared. We hope you don't see them as, far-fetched and these are just some people over there, but that you can really identify with them, you can see your story, and you can be encouraged as a result of listening to them this afternoon. So, first of all, we want to invite our panelists to tell us briefly a little bit about yourself and also about how you define champion mindset. So we'll start first with Liam. You could share with us a little bit more about yourself, anything that's interesting that you think, our attendees need to know, and then about champion mindset.
All right, good afternoon to everybody. Special good afternoon to you, Lizra, and your team. I must say, it's a pleasure being here today. It's my first at an event such as this, an opportunity to not only network, but in a sense, give my story on the topic of discussion. I've learned some stuff today and stuff that I will carry going forward. So, well, basically we're here talking about the champion mindset and the mindset for gold. One of the things that, if you guys know cricketers, we love is gold. So that's maybe, I guess, the first opportunity I would say that it fits in line with basically my background. And I'm Liam Sebastien, I hail from Goodwill. I've been playing cricket for a very long time, so most persons who know me and the accolades that I've achieved, it's come through the sport of cricket. But I would have been torn for choice because I would have represented the country as football as well. And then there was a period in my life that I wasn't sure what I wanted to do or where should I go. And I must say, a lot of what I have achieved, I achieved it from an unknown point of view. So today where I sit, I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. That is something that I would have never seen myself attaining. And basically, honestly, I wanted to be a coward. And it sounds, we laugh about it, but it's the truth. And I remember when I finished high school, that was the end game for me. I didn't want to do anything else but to stay home and play cricket. And I'm here today with a lot of people I see as models in society, and I just want to say I'm pleased to be here, and I hope that we have an engaging and interactive session this afternoon. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Liam, and certainly not a coward, but you are an exemplary person to many of us, and we can learn a lot from you this afternoon. So Sade, how about you?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sade Samuel, and I am an entrepreneur that has transitioned from logistics to the beauty industry. That transition has brought about a lot of questions, but it's a decision that I'm extremely happy and has brought me a lot of fulfillment. My journey really and truly started with the inspiration from my father. He was a department manager at a hotel here on Ireland, and he decided that he was going to resign. He was going to bring in a hot dog cart, and he was going to sell hot dogs, bread and bunjao, and kakuti. And that decision positioned our family to do a lot of great things, opportunities that we probably would not have had, including giving his eldest daughter, me, my first job at 16. And so that taught me the importance of betting on yourself always. From moving or from having quick delivery and quick rentals with over 40 partners and even launching our highly anticipated quick delivery app, and then moving into filter aesthetics, that has taught me that success, or even the challenges on your way to success, you don't avoid them, you embrace them, and you take it one step at a time. So today I'm a proud owner of Filter Aesthetics, where we offer services like brow microshading, body contouring, and skin tag and mole removal. And for me, the champion mindset is really falling forward and doing the fearless thing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Falling forward and doing the fearless thing. Thank you, Sade. Carlton?
Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This activity was one that I truly wanted to be part of. As soon as I saw the ad on social media, immediately I contacted the owner and said, I want to be part of that. So how do I get into it? And lo and behold, I was rolled in to be on the panel. I've always said most people do remember me or would know me as a pharmacist or the voice of health and wellness on the radio. But I've always said that medicine found me rather than I actually found medicine. For the people who knew me and have journeyed with me, I actually wanted to be a communication specialist. I wanted to be a broadcaster journalist. When I went to Sixth Form College, I basically pursued history, literature, and English, well, AO English with sociology. And that's actually what I really wanted to do. And then it would seem that God had a different pathway for me. For me, what I look for in a true champion is one that epitomizes humanity. And that is why I have always really looked at Nelson Mandela as the greatest example of a champion to me. Someone who really suffered, someone who cried, someone who bled, and someone who fought hard for his nation. And why did he do so? He did so to attain the freedom. And so for me, my journey, whether it's through education and experiences, to me, it has to touch the lives of people. And so when I look at myself as a champion, I try to embody that impersonified by the way that I live, the way that I act, and the way that I behave with my peers and with people of all walks of life. And so to me, a champion mindset is one that simplifies the things that seem to be so complicated in a language and behavior that some way, somehow impacts humanity.
Okay, thank you very much, Carlton. So question, how many of you ever failed? Yes. Okay, so anyone has never failed before? You can raise your hands. I'm not seeing any hands going up, including our panelists. So tell us, you failed before, right? So what strategies have you used and you've employed to be more successful in this regard in continuing to pursue your goals? I know even in cricket, in football, in business, Sade, you moved from quick delivery into filter, Carlton as well in your industry. I mean, you failed many times, I can imagine. But if you want to share any story of how you've overcome, but also what strategies you've used to be more successful. Who wants to go first? Carlton?
And you're asking the question in reference to my career or personal life?
Personal life.
Personal life.
Yes.
Okay. So in 2012, November 24, 2012, it was a Saturday morning. I was at Jolly's Pharmacy working, and I got a phone call that changed my life. I got a phone call, it was about after 9 in the morning, telling me that my father was murdered, and was murdered brutally. So my father was stabbed 47 times. Wow. Whilst he slept by someone whom he knew and someone whom he had raised. And that individual apparently was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. It was a very difficult journey for me, merely because I was not on speaking terms with my father at that time. I hadn't spoken to my father for about 7 years, and it was a decision that I personally had made, merely because I felt that I was always the one dishing out the olive leaf, and he was never reciprocating. To cut a short story short, my father was buried. I traveled and everything, and I had to see what lessons that I could have learned from that experience, because here it was that I had lost every opportunity to salvage a fragmented relationship. Secondly, I had to deal with someone murdering my father, which left me with absolutely no chance for a second opportunity. And I had to come to the realization that in the deepest of pain, despair, anger, and all the other complexities, I had to forgive that individual who had robbed me from the opportunity. And I can tell you that that was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. As difficult as it were to face such an adversity, it actually really created that champion mindset that I can now practically claim. What it did, it actually made me a victor.
Okay.
When many people thought I would have been a victim.
That's incredible.
And so I understood the power and freedom of forgiveness, not just saying it as it is, but really biblically applying it as what would Jesus have done. And from there, my journey actually was just an amazing one that resonated peace, because I've found that there is no way that peace can abide in me in anger. They do not coexist. And so it has made me a very free person, and I think that is what has somehow made me to want to gravitate towards humanitarianism and the causes thereby. And so this champion mindset is one of personal perspective as much as professional growth.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing that, Carlton. It's a very personal story, but even, when we think of being a champion, we think of many different other aspects of being a champion. But understanding how forgiveness can propel you so much, not just even in your personal life, but your professional life as well. And someone who did this gruesome act, moving towards forgiveness, this is incredible. We wish you all the best, much more success on your journey as you continue to learn and to heal and to inspire others. Sade, how about you?
So in my case, when I'm in doubt, I have 4 strategies that I use. And that being gratitude. I can be extremely hard on myself, and it does not help. And so it's important for me to remember what it is that I've accomplished, where I've come from, and what I've learned along the way. Secondly would be connection. The people that you have in your circle and in your life are extremely important, and they can propel you, and sometimes they can also hold you back. So keeping them dear and near is very important. I wish we could make calls to heaven. I don't think there's a 2-week period that goes by where I haven't felt the need to pick up the phone and call Elias Dupe, may his soul rest in peace, so that I can get his perspective or just have a laugh or just talk about something new, because we were really good at just brainstorming or just talking about anything that was going on. And his loss has actually made me want to embrace but also hold dear the connections that I have with people, and I want everyone to do the same. Perspective. So it's 2 things. It could always be worse, or what's on the other side of this. So for me, in 2024, I closed Quick's doors in Dominica in January, and I exited the rental in December. So I had spent 7 years building a brand, 2 businesses, and in 1 year, I exited it. And closing Quick's doors in Dominica was about us being able to focus on the regional opportunities, but even that was very emotional and mental and financially draining. Then it came to the rental, which was the second leg. And I had to sit down and really think to myself, do I really want to do this? My father also gave me a start in the rental. There's a lot of sentimental value there. Do I really want to do this? How am I going to feel about this? And this is something that I took the time to grow, to build. This is mine. And for a very long time, I had to sit and I had to think not about how I felt about it in that moment, but what does it allow me to do after? So beyond this point, what's next? Am I going to be better after exiting? And I decided to exit. And sometimes you really need to sit and think about what comes next and what you'll be able to do after. My last point would be action. And I am big at auditing myself on this. And it's because sometimes we spend so much time beating ourselves up about the problem or just being down. So this happened and this isn't fair. And I'm frustrated and I'm upset and this and that. But really and truly, it's about being solution-oriented. So I try to give myself 10 minutes to say it's unfair and feel my feels and then go into solution-based thinking. What's next? How do I fix it? How much is it going to cost me? How much time is it going to take? And how do we move forward? Because really and truly, that's what matters. After I've already cried my tears and I've let it out, what I really need to consider is how do I move forward? So those are the 4 things that I use when it comes to self-doubt.
Okay, great. So just to make sure we get it correct, gratitude, the second was connection?
Yes.
Gratitude, connection, perspective, and action.
Yes.
Hopefully, everyone taking notes. If you can apply this to your life, then hopefully it can help to inspire you as well. How about you, Liam?
Sorry, too many choices. But, well, again, going back to the field of cricket, and for persons who don't know, unless you have exceptional talent like Brian Lara and so on, you're going to fail much more than you succeed in that sport. So I remember this personal situation against Jamaica. And it's, if you look at the bio, there's my highest score of 143. So that was a game previously, and then I scored 5 the first game. And then when we got back to the hotel, there was a whole heap of noise, and I'm trying to figure out, like, and when I got back and I got around to everything that was happening, the talk was that, the captain doesn't want Liam in the team. So everybody was like, but this is the first game of the season, what's going on? So I don't know if it was God sent, because that captain, after the first game, left to join the West Indies team. And then when we got to Barbados for the second game, the captain at the time came to me and he said, I'm going to give you a promotion. I want you to bat higher. I want you to be confident in your ability. I'm backing you. And I was like, you must be mad somewhere upstairs in your head, knowing what we just went through with all of that. And then you're asking me to bat number 4. So we practiced, we went through it, prepared for the game. And then when we came to that game, I remember walking down the step in Barbados. And I called my roommate and I said to him, it's either today somebody is going to pay for that anger I have in me, or tomorrow I'll be on a flight home. And then the end result, I scored 143, which is my highest score. And I always use that situation when my back is against the wall. And then there's also this other situation, because I haven't had that loss of a close person, similar to Sade or Carlton, but and I do not have a CXC passing grade in mathematics, and I'm not ashamed to say it. And in university, you had to do the prerequisites and so on. And I reached a point where I'd done so many courses, even I'd completed final year courses. But because I didn't have maths and I didn't do the maths courses, I was stuck. So when I went to register, they told me that I couldn't register. And I was like, I sat down close to Frank Worrell Hall. And I was like, well, so what am I going to do? I might as well just go home, because I never liked maths after third form. And that's due to a teacher that I had. And then from then, So I remember the afternoon before the exam, I sat down with a colleague of mine from Dominica. And I was just on block 5 on Frank World Hall. And all I was doing, I was just there writing down everything I saw them writing because I was clueless. So I was, and then she asked me a question. She said, Liam, all you're going to do, you're just going to sit down there and copy all what you're writing. So I said to her, well, what you want me to do? I don't know what's going on, so I might as well just do that. And then the night I went home, and I was just changing figures around, looking like I was actually doing something. And lo and behold, when the next day came for the exam, I finished the exam with a big smile on my face. I don't know what happened, because I was just feeling confident. When the grade came back, I had a B+. And I was trying to figure out if the lecturer maybe was intoxicated when he was correcting the paper or something, because I couldn't understand it at the time. And these are two things that I use, especially in down periods, because I would have, if I didn't perform that time, I would have got dropped. And that was my job. If I didn't pass the maths course, I would have been stuck in university. So it is something when we talk about resilience and the mindset, whatever it's in your mind, it may be hard to think that you can achieve it. But whatever it takes for you to push yourself, I think it is something that you have to do. Because in the end, it will be a success for you when everything is equal.
Wow. Thank you very much. And I know that there are many who can identify with your situation. When I was in high school, lots of persons disliked mathematics. And I think too, in third form as well, was a changing point in many different persons' lives. And some had successes going to university. I'm happy you're one of them. And hopefully, anyone who does not like maths, hopefully this encourages you that you can actually do it, right? So let's take a little deep dive into Sade's experience, right? Sade moving from quick delivery, a logistics-based business, into the aesthetics industry. And this is a significant shift in business strategy. You shared a bit with us about that, but how did adopting a changing or a champion mindset influence your shift and your change in strategy?
Adopting a champion mindset as I went through this transition was like I attack everything else. It is really and truly about falling forward and doing the fearless thing. The thing that scares you the most is often the thing that's going to hold you back. And so if you take it head on, then you're going to be better off for it. So when I started quick delivery with a Nissan B Sunny, which was a car that was older than myself at the time. Okay. And the AC barely worked during the day for some reason. And so I had my mom's portable fan on the dash. That's very true. And I started, our first month, it was just me and the car, my branded shirt, and we had about 3 or 4 merchants. And then we were halted by the passing of Hurricane Maria. 2 days after that, I went back to digital because we don't burn bridges. And I went back to my corporate job. Maybe about a year and a half later, I relaunched quick delivery with a car where the AC worked. An admin team, an office space, a driver, and a walker. Fast forward to 2020, we had a core team of 6. We had 5 contractors. We had over 40 partners, including Jolly's, Saul, We Church, Perky's Pizza, and we were doing quite well. Fast forwarding to 2023, we were able to launch our highly anticipated quick delivery app. And when people talk about their life's work, that is what I consider my life's work. I put a lot of effort into launching the platform. This platform allowed you to see what was available at whichever merchant, order online, pay online, track your orders in-app, even speak with the merchants and the delivery agents in person. It made an impact. The merchants saw increases in their sales between 150 to 200%, and that was good for them as well as for us. But things do change, and I did have to pivot. And sometimes being resilient or even having the champion mindset means that you have to start over. And so I had filter aesthetics already. However, I had to prioritize it as my priority business in January of 2024 after I closed Quick's doors. And that in itself took some effort and some time, because here I am going from logistics to having a team, and now I'm going into the beauty industry with a different type of client, and it requires a different type of mindset, and it's a different skill, and these skills are mine. I have to nurture them, I have to grow them, I have to build on them. And so I dug deep, and I went on a path of practicing and perfecting my skills. And I'll never forget it. When I came back from my training in Barbados for lash extensions, I'll talk about my training in Barbados for lash extensions. I went into my training and I said, what did I sign myself up for? Like, how did I decide that I'm going to do this? And then I came back to Dominica and I had my first client and it took me 7 hours. And I had my second client and it took me 5 hours. And then every client after that, and Mina kind of tested this, it took me about 4 hours. And with time, and with the champion mindset, and with falling forward, and doing the fearless thing, and continuing, I was able to get my time for lash extensions down to 2 hours, which is good time. And so adapting or transitioning from logistics to the beauty industry has really been for me about falling forward and doing the fearless thing and continuing to do so.
That's rather interesting. And I liked what you mentioned about pivoting.
Yes.
That's extremely important. Sometimes things don't always go right. And sometimes we may be experiencing success because we've all experienced success in different parts of our lives. But sometimes very difficult situations come up and it requires that we make a decision. Do we continue going in this direction where we may know we will continue to fail and it may not improve, or do we move on to something else? And it's really interesting how you've moved into the beauty industry and how you're even improving your skill, improving the value to your clients, reducing your time, and being more successful. So congratulations on that. Moving from 7 hours to 2 hours, that's some good time in there.
Thank you.
But tell us just one last area now. Who and what has fueled your champion mindset, and how can you inspire others based on the best practices and lessons that you've learned in this?
I would say that my father was a really big inspiration to me. And not only was he a department head, but he was actually up for a promotion. They were going to give him another department, and he would have been leading another 30 people. And he decided to turn it down. And he decided to order a hot dog cart, despite my grandmother questioning his sanity. Because you're moving from, what often seems like the big job, the good job, having led a department at a hotel, and you're going to sell kakoti and hot dogs and bread and codfish by the road. Like, are you okay? And so I saw him do that, and it positioned us as a family to do greater things. And sometimes you have to look at those opportunities and the jobs differently. So that, for me, is an inspiration, and it's allowed me to not be afraid to walk into a room or to walk away from something or to restart or to go back or to just start fresh. Secondly, Elias Dupe had a very big impact on me as a human being and as an entrepreneur. And he didn't just have that impact on me, but he had that impact with everyone that he interacted with. And it's always been funny and even interesting to me how somebody can be so impactful and intentional with everybody that they interact with and still have a job, have a family, and have all the time to focus on everything that they have going on. And so he has inspired me to also be impactful, not to be afraid of sharing my story so that I can also inspire other people to do the same. Because I believe that we all have a duty in inspiring everybody else to fall forward and to do the fearless thing.
Thank you very much, Sade. Let's give Sade a round of applause. Indeed. So, quick point to everyone, think of those who've inspired you, think of persons who've motivated you to get to this point. It may not be just someone now, it could be a teacher from primary school, it could be a parent, it could be a neighbor, anyone. And do your best to recognize that person, especially if they're still alive, right? Ensure that we say thank you and we extend our gratitude to this person. So thank you, Sade, for highlighting this for us. Carlton, how about you? Now, public health education is critical. In Dominica, health is extremely critical to all of us. And you've excelled in that area. We've seen Jollies win a number of awards in the pharmaceutical industry. And we hear your voice quite often advocating for improved health as well. Now, how do you apply a champion mindset to effectively communicate and educate the public on these critical matters? It's not just a champion mindset for you, but a champion mindset for everyone, as health is so critical to us all.
That's a very good question that you've asked. And for me, when I became a pharmacist in 1997, I never saw myself as merely being a pharmacist counting tablets. I never saw myself doing that all of my life. In that same year when I completed pharmacy, I was given the opportunity to do medicine, and I turned it down because I never saw myself being a medical doctor. But it was one of the things or the opportunities that I regret, because if I had done medicine, then I would have gone into psychiatry, which is really one of my really comfort zone. I really love mental health. But public health for me, because as I said, I wanted to do communication and broadcasting. So I recognized that, okay, I had that ability to connect with people, to be a very good communicator, and to somehow influence people. And I always liked teaching because that was my very first job was teaching. I taught high school for 2 years. So teaching, communication, pharmacy. So I recognize, okay, we can make a broth there. We can make a broth because I have all of the areas that are of great interest to me that I can use to really initiate change in our community. I worked on St. Kitts. I worked in St. Kitts for 10 years. And when I returned in Dominica in 2011, there was this big buzz. I think the Caribbean prime ministers had recently met and began to get concerned about CNCDs. And I was kind of freelance, and then I joined Jollies. Well, Jollies actually came after me. I didn't go looking for them. They came after me. And so I plugged in there. And we decided to actually embark on public health education. I was the very first pharmacist to ever do public health radio, public health programs on radio. And again, it came with some backlash because I had doctors who felt, oh, pharmacists now being doctors, pharmacists now playing doctors, because the mindset of a pharmacist was merely to just receive a prescription, interpret it, dispense the medication, and that's it. But they never saw, well, okay, the same immunology, microbiology, hematology, pathology, all of the subjects that we studied, they never saw the application of it from a public standpoint. And I felt that it was a disservice to people to just be given medication and don't even understand the rationale of the medication.
That's right.
Much less telling somebody, reduce salt, reduce sugar, and follow a diet. What is a diet? And I felt that many of my colleagues, particularly doctors, they did not make the time to educate the people. Mm-hmm. And so I became very passionate about it and recognized that information is the best vehicle that we can use to really modify the lifestyles of our people. Advocating that the information given is translated in language that every person can understand. And hence the reason why I started the public health program on radio in 2013, and it has continued. And we've seen amazing results from this program, amazing results. Because education should be impactful. And when I look at my everyday life and the things that I do, I run practically every day, at least 5 kilometers. I try to complete that as my target. I try to really look at the foods that I consume. I turned 50 in June.
50?
I'm now 50 years.
You sure?
Yes, I am. I was born 1st of June, 1974. Okay? I'll be 51 on the 1st of June. And I began to look at how can I be the example of wellness to people. So not just teach people on the radio about optimizing their health, but how they can see health in the way that I live my life. And so public health education became a mantra to me. It became a crusade to me. And right now, where I am with it is really now teaching people on not just getting good health numbers, but really optimizing their health, their wellness. And the wellness really is the lifestyle that we should be living to achieve good health. So yes, we love carnival, but we need to know when to cut down on the alcohol in the band. So I know I'm a carnival lover. Everybody knows that. But on a carnival Tuesday, I stop drink at 5 o'clock. So I'm prepared already for the work day on Wednesday. So when everybody put tea in and thing, I know that kind of person. I am ready to work come Wednesday morning because I've made myself that way. So I know when to cut off and when to let go. So that became something very important to us. And we've seen it catalyzed by other companies, whether they bring the information as good as I am. That's another story. But they try. They try to bring the information out there. And we have seen it really made headways, and the public have truly embraced that particular product.
Great. Thank you very much. And I think Carlton shared a number of different nuggets through his intervention. He even mentioned about personal control, knowing when to stop, knowing your limits, knowing how you could even show up positive in the world. Not just all about the fun and the fanfare and the things that we love to do and we forget about temperance, but you spoke about that. You also spoke about exemplifying what you want to see. So if you have to be a health educator, there are many different things that you have to take serious. And also about like setting the way. You set a new standard that others can follow. And even though others are following it, you're still improving. So there's some things you said that you did not say in words, but you actually brought it out. And I hope that this resonates with many of us here today.
Yes.
Now, Liam, I'd segue to Liam right now. You moved from being a cricketer to the manager of the Windward Island Cricket Team. That requires a different champion mindset. You're not just the one playing now and expecting to be put to play, but you're the one making certain key decisions that impacts and influences many other lives. How has your mindset changed, even as having a champion mindset in this way?
Yes, so as I said earlier, a lot of my decisions that I would have taken or that were made, it was from an unknown point of view. So when I got the nod that I was going to be the manager of the team, I wouldn't say that I was prepared for it.
Okay.
Because it was during the pandemic, and I was now moving from that player and a captain who just captained some of the same people that I'm now going to be managing. Some of them are older than me. And just to have that transition from moving basically from the forefront to now being in the background and ensuring that the players have everything that they need to now perform. So it was a tough transition to start because we talk about politics locally, but politics in cricket is a different animal.
Yeah.
And I am now moving from the manager, well, not the manager, sorry, from the captain of the Windward Islands team to the manager, where I have to manage diverse cultures and backgrounds. And Dominica and St. Vincent, we would eat our head off, these two countries. So now, in St. Vincent, it was a whole, oh, why this man, and blah, 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 and blah. So it was tough because the first thing, the role of the manager, he has to ensure that all the players are comfortable. He has to ensure that all the players are even comfortable, even if he doesn't know. So for instance, in the pandemic, I had to make difficult decisions where I had to tell a player, okay, you have to stay in your room for the next 7 days. And you cannot open the door, you cannot leave, you have to stay. Whilst we're outside, he has to be in there. So I had to be the one bearing those bad news because, well, firstly, I had to monitor the test. And then after the physio has gone up in your nose, which we had to do every day for the period that we were on tour, I have to stand up and watch all the lines. And then I have to bear the news. Then I also have to ensure that that player eats properly. He has everything that he needs because he cannot get out. So mentally it was draining because I'm now moving, or I've moved from having everything in place for me to now putting things in place for everybody that is there. Now, again, cricketers don't speak. And anybody who has been close to a cricketer, they would be going through fire inside and they wouldn't tell you. Because cricketers are supposed to be tough persons. Because the body is not made for the sport of cricket because of the rigors that you have to go, especially pounding on the grounds that you have, the hardness of the ground. So a cricketer would be going through a very difficult situation inside, and he would not say. But then as a manager now, I have to some way find that and help him to put him in the best position that he is to perform. So the first season, and the performance on the field was not good. We came 5th. So it was very tough for me because, they had all the politics and, this person should retire, this person should this. And I remember at a point I was saying, well, okay, it's one and done. Because the amount of things that you have to do, and then I now have to be the manager, I have to be the counselor, I have to be everything you can think of to put the players in the position to perform. And looking back at it where we are now as a Windward Islands team, and those of us here who know in cricket terms, Windward Islands is the whipping boys of West Indies cricket and that sort of thing. That is no longer a thing because the Windward Islands team is very competitive. No. And I remember Ali Cathanes said to us as a group for the champion mindset, and that is something that we use from the Australian cricket team. We cannot just rush into something and go too fast, and then after we crash. But we take it step by step. So we considered the whipping boys of West Indies cricket. Okay, fine. The first thing that we have to learn how to do, from losing, we have to learn how to draw. So forget about the wins, because it's a step-by-step process. So instead of saying, okay, we're coming from losing to winning, let's learn how to draw the games. And then from learning how to draw the games, when we sort of master it or we're comfortable in that space, then we say, okay, we take it to the next level. So gradually, we will go in there. But that transition moved very fast. We started winning a lot more because players were confident and comfortable in their own space. But we took a step-by-step process. And that sort of is still nurturing our champion mindset, is that we do not set the expectations too wild and just saying, okay, we are going to be the champions there. If we follow the procedures and the steps, it will become closer and it will happen. So what we did in terms of going for gold, we went from glare to silver and we took it steps until where we won championships, and then we put ourselves in a position where we turn up at the ground. Barbados, Jamaica cannot say, well, they're playing against a lesser team. And even now, we have 2 of our players who are the spine of West Indies Test cricket batting. So when we have them with us, combining with the other teams are seen, like Fia said earlier, they're dangerous. So Windwards are no longer seen from 20 years ago where you just turn up and they lose, to now being something that you can say, okay, we have to watch these guys differently.
That is very, very interesting. And I like what you mentioned. You took it by steps. It's not just saying, hey, we want to go for the biggest prize one time. And although this is your end game, this is what you're aiming for, but you look at steps, your capacity at the time, the small steps you could take, the small wins that you can make, and being strategic, how you even identified key persons to come along with your team so that you can enhance your capacity and then you win. So I hope this has been inspiring and relevant for you in your different fields. But we want to open up for a few questions. We will not be taking many different questions, but if there could be a question for each of our panelists, we would welcome your questions at this time so that we can engage you with our panelists. Anyone have any questions, whether for Carlton, for Sade, for Liam? Yes, Kalisha? And you identify which panelist, and then for Sade. Okay, so two other persons, please think about for Carlton and for Liam. Yes, Carlton.
Okay, so this is for Sade. You know, sometimes when people see you changing jobs or changing business, they tend to tell you, like, you don't know what you're about. But from your experience, I'm hearing a lot of changes. What encouragement, what motivation do you have for me? Not only just for me, but for everyone else, because society makes it look like if you decide to switch things up, like you are unstable. So what encouragement do you have for us?
I love this question. You know what's funny? And I say it to my friends all the time, I don't hear what society has to say. Not that I don't care, that's what I said. I don't hear what they have to say. And it's because I've surrounded myself with people that are so focused on themselves and minding their business and drinking their water that we don't hear what they have to say. So if you want to make a change and you think that's the best thing for you, whatever makes you sleep better at night, that is what you should do. Because nobody else, and of course you have your family, you have your dependents, and all of these things are the things that you will take into consideration. But when it comes to you making a decision to make a change, to fall forward, to be fearless, do that on your own terms.
Thank you. Okay. I have a question.
We have Annika.
Annika. Women first, man. It's okay. It's okay. Even if it's me that have the mic, you know.
Thank you very much. So my question is to Carlton. I just want to say as well that I really loved and enjoyed all of your personal, all of your experiences that you shared. I think what I really love about this event, this is the third time I'm coming, is the insight that we get into people that we see every day, and we don't necessarily know their stories or know their journeys. We see the success that you all have experienced, but having that extra insight into what really propels you to succeed is very welcome. So I just want to thank you all for your presentation on that, first of all. Carlton, one of the things that I took away from your presentation is that, people are always very quick to criticize initiatives, maybe because they didn't think of it first or because they thought of it and didn't act on it first. And I thought about that when you spoke about your experiences with the doctors. And then we've also moved in 2025, at this stage, we've moved from an era where people would not share a lot. And we've moved away from gatekeeping, and that's why I think content creation and all of that has become so popular, because people want to have insight into what people do. How do you learn how to cook? How do you do all of these things? So I think sharing those experiences is what really has made this type of content really popular. And the other thing that you said is that you've essentially explored multiple passions. You've been able to marry a lot of the things that you've been interested in, and you've been able to thrive in that way. So what advice do you have for somebody interested in pursuing multiple things? We've spoken about pivoting, moving away from one thing to the other, but there are a lot of us, myself included, that we love multiple things and we want to pursue them all. So what advice would you have for someone looking to pursue multiple passions and how to balance those?
That's a very good question too. And I made a note earlier on, when opportunities are given, never say no. And this is something that I have applied for years. And I can use this forum as an example. I registered, I wanted to be here just as a guest, as a normal participant. And then Lizra called and said to me she really wants me to be on the panel. And I at the time when she called, I was engaged in some things. I said to her, I would give an answer the next day. And I said, yes, I will do it. I could have said no. I could have said, well, maybe next year, whatever it is. But when opportunities are given, take it. And it has to be not just an opportunity, but it has to be an opportunity when you know you can make that difference and you have the ability to make the difference. I was saying to many people when we were doing the sign up that most people do not know that I'm the sales manager for Jolly's. And maybe some of you are shocked to hear that. Yes, I am the sales manager for Jolly's as well. And when the opportunity was given to me by the managing director, I do not hold a business degree. But he saw something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself for that position. And I did not say no. I went on YouTube. I looked at so many sales videos every day. I would just go on YouTube and look at videos on negotiation, videos on project management, proposal writings, and just look at these videos and take notes and all of that. And I do my information on a Friday where I sell, and I can tell you when I sell, when I advertise something, it's usually out by the weekend. No one is seeing me, they're just hearing my voice advertising a product. Why do they come to buy it? And so opportunities sometimes is not merely just based on your own external competence. Because you might say, well, I don't have a degree for that, or I have never done that before. Particularly when you're supervised, there is something intrinsic that your supervisor or manager or CEO may see in you that you've never seen in yourself. So the answer to this, opportunities, and at the same time too, that intrinsic hunger and thirst to excel and to do things well. That is it. You have to want to do it. You understand? I don't like inventory. I did a little course on project management. Mr. Blackmore, the PS, was my facilitator. He picked on me a lot because he liked my mind. But after I had done it, I said, that's too abstract for me. I'm not feeling it. You understand? So I left it alone. But I went and I did it. I got a little, certificate in it. But I recognize it's a little too abstract for me. It's a little too lonely for me. I'm not into that. So take the opportunities when they're given to you and never say no.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the question, Annika. Okay, I have one question for Liam. Okay, so Liam, when I went to SMA, so did you?
No,
right?
No. Grammar school. No. Be careful.
But my question is, when you were growing up, right? Because you said you grew up in Goodwill, right? Right. So I know growing up in your time, those times were different in that we were a lot more social, right? We were out there, we were playing cricket, for instance, football and those things on the savannah. But obviously, there's always some bad characters, yeah, that will always be, around on the block, right? Now, we don't live in isolation. And every day we interact with these people, good and bad, right? So my question is, what did you have to do, tell yourself, for the mindset that you had to have for you to continue to do what you're doing and not fall by the wayside like many of our young people, who start off like that? And also, what parts of those things have you taken into your life now as a manager?
I smile at that question because I believe maybe you were watching me grow up. That's why you're asking me that. But so growing up in Goodwill, there were a lot of good times, and as you said, in terms of the bad experiences, and again, I'm going back to when I spoke earlier, I wanted to be a coward. So I was in a gang, and at that time, gang stuff was gang stuff. You go to carnival, you have to put someone's head, those different things. So I was in that life. And when my parents have always been strict in terms of guidance. And I remember we had a war with a gang from Fonkole. And it was like real war. When we go to St. Alphonsus Church, is who have knife in their pocket, and is that what's going on? Men come in and knock on your door for you. And I remember my best friend at the time in the gang, I was studying at the time, and then I heard he got arrested. And then I heard my parents talking and whatever, but they didn't really know I was deep into the same gang thing. So they're talking about it, and I saying to myself, boy, my partner get arrested. And when I tried to figure out, they said he had a knife and whatever. And then the next night after, when they didn't proceed with the case, the night after, there was a retreat at the church in Pottersville. And then after that retreat, it was a war on Old Street. The two gangs, one was by Courts and the other one was on the other end, and bottles and stones throwing and cutlass and whatever. And when they came back up and I heard the shot, I was sitting down on the table again, and then I was hearing about hashi and whatever. And I watched my two hands, and I was saying to myself, that are my tools, because I have to use my hands to play. And if somebody hashi me or they cut it off, then I am of no use. I cannot even go back in the same gang because I am disabled. So I started to ask myself some questions, and then gradually I started pulling away from not the persons, but the gang. So yes, we would still be around because these are my friends and all of that. And one of the members in the gang was arrested and he got charged with murder. And I remember he got bail at that time, and he came out and he was like, dog, up there, not an easy place. And it is very difficult, and I hear your stories, I read about you, I hear you playing. Do your thing. Don't come in that life about that prison, because prison is rough. And it was an awakening for me. And then I like that what happened with him, because even the other guys who were in the gang, they never told me, like, boy, come out there, use a this or whatever. They actually encouraged me to go that route. And even to today, with what I am doing, Carnival time, well, those of you who know I love Carnival, I'm in a band. So those of you who see me, some of them will still be with me in Carnival time. And I take that to say that I can consider, even if we were in a gang doing bad things, I can consider them friends. Because they never once told me, basically put down your bat or your ball. I gradually pulled out, but they were still there to say, do your thing. We will still support you with that. So, yes, Kevin, growing up in Goodwill, for those who know, it wasn't easy. But if you have, and I think somebody mentioned it earlier, if you have the right persons around you and the persons to guide you, it will always lead you to the correct path.
That's a very inspiring story. Thank you very much, Liam. I know that we are almost ending this segment. I see we had two more questions. I saw Natasha and, because we didn't hear Natasha's voices yet, so yes. And we also have Rihanna. We'll take the questions together so we can also incorporate it in the final feedback of our panelists, because we really do have to move to the next segment. If we don't, then you guys stay with us extra. We welcome it, but it would just be a little while extra. So Natasha, then Rihanna.
I actually just wanted to thank all the panelists and say to Liam, I never know bad man come from Goodwill. I never know that. But I also, and you know what, one thing that really resonated with me, on my way up, I'm a mother, a wife, and a small business owner, and sometimes we very rarely get time to ourselves. And so whenever I have time to myself, especially when I have a long drive, this is me with my music blasting and driving. And I was like, Father Lord, protect me. And then the voice come inside, go on speed. And then everybody will see in your picture on thing, because you have disobeyed the laws of this natural realm. And one of the things that I keep hearing you saying is there are certain frameworks and certain things that you must be consistent with. And one of those things is you can't go and do nonsense and expect some different results. So thank you so much, because you were so all articulate.
Yes, thank you very much. And Rihanna? Rihanna at the front?
Yes, I just wanted to thank people before I say my question, but thank you for your realness. I feel like I know you all a bit more deeper. And yeah, thank you for being very honest with your responses. So my question very briefly is directed to Sade. So I wanted to kind of find out, how do you navigate rebranding? Or do you even consider it as a rebrand, that you're going from a new kind of vision and direction? How are you marketing yourself and your business now that you are in a different space? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So thank you for that question, Rihanna. And our panelists, as you end with your final feedback, we also want you to touch on what encouragement would you give to professionals and entrepreneurs and everyone here, those who will be listening to this panel discussion or looking at it subsequently. Like, what advice do you have for them in building a champion mindset? And as you answer your question, Sade, you could make mention to this, and panelists, anything else from what our attendees would have shared or asked, you could use it in your final, I would say, 1 minute maximum sum up. Thank you very much.
As it relates to your question, when it comes to rebranding, I have sat and I have written down what it is that I would like to put out there. For a very long time, I struggled with bringing myself to the forefront of my brand. With quick delivery, I was known for quick delivery, but not known as myself as being the manager, and so I also had to change that. So when it came to this transition, I sat down, I wrote down what it is that I wanted this brand to represent, how is it that I wanted to bring people on board this journey, and then how did I want that to look for myself and on social media. So that's how I did that. In closing, a success mindset is not just about success, it's about the journey that you take to get there. It is about falling forward and being fearless and taking the steps to do so. And I want to encourage everybody here, and thank you guys for coming, to share your stories with other people so that they can also be inspired to fall forward and to do the fearless thing.
Thank you, Shadi.
Awesome. For me, a champion mindset is not merely a principle, but it is a lifestyle. It is how we can train our minds to improve our behaviors that will some way, somehow impact our human wellness. Our human wellness in terms of capacity building, in terms of maximizing our potential, and in terms of taking opportunities, sometimes even of the unknown. And so when I think of the champion mindset, to me it's not one that is abstract. It is one that begins with one step at a time. We have bankers here, and many times I was once one of those people who believed that to save, I have to save at least $500. And you find yourself never saving nothing because that $500 never comes at once. And so the very same thing is applicable to that champion mindset. Do you see yourself as a champion? So that's where the reflection comes in. And do you understand what the components of a champion is? And then how do you feed your mind on the precepts, abilities, and qualities of a champion? And so, oftentimes we believe that a champion mindset maybe is someone that is extremely wealthy or someone that has a lot of resources. But it is way more than that. I believe every one of us in here do have that champion mindset. The question is, how well are we selling it out there?
All right. Firstly, I just want to thank everybody for listening to not only myself, but to the other panelists. And I'm sure that there would have been something that we all can take home today from what we have said. But in closing, as we talk about the champion mindset, and well, in my field of cricket, and well, first I just want to say big up my parents, gratitude to them for, because without them, you know, I'd have been in King Kawat Association. But there's one thing that I remember my dad said to me, and I think it's applicable to all of us in here. Whatever we do here, or whatever fields we are like politicians, there's a term, and a term ends. I'm not saying that when you die. So when I finished playing, my dad always told me there's life after cricket. And I'm currently living life after cricket now with what I have achieved and what I have attained. And in whatever fields you guys are, there's a term. So if you work in the bank, there's some point that you'll move on. Prepare yourself for life after that term and take it to the next level that you can set up yourself comfortably when you finish that term. Because you may be remembered as a banker or cricketer, but at the end of it, you're struggling through that. And persons might remember you as a bust. Prepare yourself for life after your term. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Liam. And as you give in your round of applause, please give a round of applause to all our panelists. There were many salient points. I like the last one. Everything is a term, like nothing lasts forever. And even being a champion, sometimes that winning streak, like Theo also says, that doesn't last forever. The only way could be down, but there's life after that. Also falling forward, and also Carlton encouraging everyone to have a champion mindset. I mean, I learned a lot, even from their experiences, and I hope that their experiences will quite applicable to your growth in being a champion. So thank you very much, panelists.